want to show you something. This is the system that changed everything for me, and for dozens of Christian entrepreneurs that I've had the opportunity to coach. It's how you go from fragmented to integrated, from reacting to leading, from being successful on paper to actually being a hero in your own home. And I'm going to break this all down for you right now. You can take this framework and use it immediately. So here's what I've seen many times when I work with Christian entrepreneurial men. And maybe it's the same thing for you. You've built something incredible. Your business is thriving. You're providing for your family. And by external measures, you're winning. But there's a disconnect. You're successful on paper, but you're restless in spirit. You wake up with the best intentions. You're going to be present with your family. You're going to get into the gym today. You're going to spend time in the Word. You're going to be the man you said you'd be. But by the end of the day, you've fallen short again. You're physically present with your family, but your mind is still at work. You want to be consistent in the gym, but urgent tasks always seem to take priority. You feel this constant low-grade pressure, like you're always reacting instead of leading. And the worst part? You know better. You know what matters. You know you should be doing these things, but knowing and doing are two very different things. So you feel like a failure. Not because you're not successful, but because you're successful in one area and struggling in all the others. And that's what I call the gap. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Here's what I learned, and this changed everything for me. Problem isn't that you need to work harder. You've got plenty of discipline. Problem is that discipline isn't integrated. It's not connected. You've got discipline in your business. You can work very hard in your office, but you don't have discipline in your faith. You don't have discipline in your family. You don't have discipline to go to the gym consistently. You don't have discipline to take care of your own health. It's like you're running 5 different races all at the same time, and you're only winning one of them. And the reason is simple. You don't have a system. You don't have a framework that connects all 5 areas. You don't have clarity in what you're actually building towards. So you're grinding, you're pushing, you're trying to do it all, but you're doing it without a map, without a compass, without a firm foundation. And that's exhausting for you. And that's why you feel empty, even though you're successful on paper. But here's the good news. There's a way out, and it's not complicated. This is the Mission 5 framework that you can see on the screen. It's the system that changes everything. It's not something that's theoretical. It's not some motivational fluff. It's a step-by-step system that builds unbreakable discipline for you across all 5 areas of life. And it starts with the foundation. Let me break it down for you. Looking at this Mission 5 framework, you can see on the screen, I'll put on the screen, I don't have to show you because it's gonna be on the screen. Thanks to my editor, Rafi, for doing this. So Mission 5 framework, you'll see at the bottom his identity. I've been a coach in multiple different areas over the past 13 plus years. I've been a fitness coach, nutrition coach, a mindset coach. I've trained athletes. I've done life and business coaching. And here's a common theme I've found is that you know who you want to be in all these areas of life: mental, physical, spiritual, relational, professional. And you know who you are now. And you get motivation. You're going to get in great shape. You're going to scale your business. You're going to be a better parent. You're going to be a better spouse. But something always happens where you don't do the consistent actions that lead to the person you want to be. And that is it. Who you are today is the byproduct of how you spent your time, money, and energy years prior. Who you are 1 year, 5 years, 10 years out is going to play by the same rules. And remember that 1, 5, 10 thing for later on the video. And it's going to be very important. So where do you start? You start with identity. And this Mission 5 framework helps you create a bridge across the gap from where you are now to who you want to be in the future. Identity, knowing who you are and whose you are. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to read Counterfeit Gods. I mentioned this in the videos before, by Tim Keller. And it was eye-opening to me. I always thought that idols were something in the Old Testament, that like golden calves that you worshiped. And I thought, I'm safe from this. But in reality, we can all fall prey to this, because an idol is a good thing that becomes an ultimate thing in your life. And think about the first commandment in the 10 Commandments. Have no other gods or lords, I'm paraphrasing, before me. You get the general idea. And then what did Jesus say in the New Testament? The 2 greatest commandments are this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So that's a hierarchy. That's an order of loves we're supposed to have in our life. So it's not that we can't have a successful business and enjoy doing it. It's not that we can't have money. It's not that we can't go on nice vacations or have nice things. It's not that we can't have a physically fit body. It's when those things become the priority to you above people, above God, that's when you're in danger of making something an idol. When you make something an idol in your life, you start to worship it. Not openly, not in terms of bowing down to a golden calf, as we would commonly think about, but when you worship something, you're going to sacrifice to it. So what is the sacrifice to these things? It's your time, money, and energy with your family towards your business. The sacrifice of your fitness in pursuit of more business success. So then the first part we need to do is we need to lay the foundation. You need to understand who you are and whose you are. And you're made in God's image. And that's where you put your hope, faith, and trust in Him. There's 4 deep idols that Tim Keller talked about in his book: power, control, approval, and comfort. None of these things are bad, but when you try to find them in God's good creation, we're not supposed to worship creation over the creator. This is where you start to enter dangerous territory. Because here's an example. Let's say it's control, the deep idol of control, and you're pursuing business success to try to give control of your life, to try to find comfort, to try to have approval, to try to have power over your life. And you're working very, very hard. You're sacrificing to this idol at the expense of your family, at the expense of your fitness. Because we have to remember that your body needs nurturing. You need to invest into your body. If you don't, eventually the bill's going to come due. And it's going to come due in terms of aches and pains, mentally not feeling well. So then if you're building up your control around this deep idol because of your business success, you're going to be willing to sacrifice time in the gym to that. Sacrifice time in the Word to that. Sacrifice time with your family for that thing because you're trying to create a God out of God's creation. So what you need to do is you need to uproot this idol and find your identity in Christ. Put your hope, faith, trust, and security in Christ so that regardless of the circumstance, and this is a big thing too, regardless of the circumstances, you're going to be Christ-like. You're going to be consistent in character to your family, to your teammates at work, to everyone you meet, because you no longer have to strive to find significance, hope, identity in external things. Because what happens when you've put your identity, well, this happens with athletes a lot. You'll see there'll be a lot of depression when professional athletes retire because they've built their whole identity around their athletic prowess, their success, and they don't know who they are anymore. So in business, let's say that's become your identity. So what happens if you lose that? And I know exactly how this goes. For those that don't know, I own a gym and I've owned it for 13 plus years. And we went through really difficult times during all the lockdowns. We got locked down 5 times. We had to open and close 5 times. We couldn't use our gym for 7 months total while paying rent. Up to this point, I'd become, I would say, prideful, boastful, not outwardly, but in my mind, of my ability to be a successful entrepreneur, to problem solve, to ideate, to build something that would be successful. And I remember thinking, and not like a blatant thing, but just like little questions in my mind. Why do I need to give glory to God in terms of if I'm doing all the work? And that was something that there was a definite shift in my perspective there, because it came to the point where I needed to surrender it all, because I could no longer influence with my own power, my own control, my gym. And I do think that God used that time to refine me and help me understand that I'm not supposed to find my significance in my ability to be a good entrepreneur, in money, in whatever else it is. Because what happens if something like that happens that happened to our gym? What happens to you if you built your identity around this thing and it comes crumbling down? You're no longer going to be you. If you make your identity, your character, your consistency and discipline, this is a big thing, based around your external circumstances, you're going to be as inconsistent as those external circumstances themselves. When times are good, you're going to pull off away from your habits because you built up a hedge. You built up this empire for yourself that you think, and this is a key thing, you think you're protected, that you're not vulnerable for these things in the world, but you are. There's going to be difficult times regardless of where you are, and there's going to be good times as well. So who are you in the good times and who are you in the bad times? And the only way you can be consistent in character, temperament, emotions to your family, to those around you, is if you already know who you are and whose you are. So regardless of failing, regardless of succeeding, you're not reliant on that for how you take action, because your action stems from your identity. If you're leading from a place of trying to find your significance in your achievements and success in your actions, you're going to be inconsistent. But if you already know who you are, and you don't need to chase the approval of others, of people, and you just want to glorify God with your gifts, your talents, your time, your money, your energy, your businesses, then you hold it with open hands. You say, Lord, you've given me this. Let me be a good steward of this. And I'm going to do that through my daily action. And if something doesn't go the way I want it to, that's okay. I'm loved. You've already paid for me. I don't have to prove my value. I just want to glorify you. So it's important that you start here, because that gives you emotional temperament too. That gives you self-control. So regardless of the circumstances, you can just take consistent action towards, later on what I'm going to talk about, is towards your goals. Next, you can see on the screen there, purpose. Who do you want to be remembered as? So that's great. We have our identity that we're working on. So make sure you go through this homework yourself and go through this. If you made it this far, I just want to quickly interject. So I help Christian entrepreneurial men build this framework in a specific way so that they can stop feeling stuck, wandering aimlessly, being inconsistent leader, both at home and in their business, so that they can build unbreakable discipline in 9 weeks, so they become a hero at home, get in great physical shape, deepen their relationship with the Lord, all while simultaneously scaling their business while gaining back time. So there is a wait list for this program right now. So if you want to make sure that you're notified when the doors open up again, I invite you to see the notes below or the show notes. Is that what they're called? Yeah, probably. And apply so you get notified when the next one launches. Okay, back to it. Next, you're going to say, who do you want to be remembered as at the end of your life? And this might sound morbid to some of you, but I think it's a really important exercise to do. You're going to write out your eulogy statement, and you're going to write it out in the third person. So what is someone going to say about you at your funeral? Now, some of these things will be different than the actual eulogy statement. So someone's not going to talk about how you took care of your health. But in your eulogy statement, you're going to say exactly how you took care of your health, how you were relationally with your family, your friends, your business, how you stewarded that professionally, and then spiritually too. So you're going to say things like, Matt never had his phone at dinner with his family. You're going to put stuff like that in there. You're going to write it down. And then what you're going to do is you're going to read it every single day. And the reason this is important, the day you want to hit snooze on your alarm and not do the important work, not get into the word. And the goal is not perfection here. It's intentionally moving in a direction. That's good. Let's example, the day you hit snooze button on your alarm, or you're tempted to, you think about that person reading this out at your funeral. And this is what I think. Am I going to make them a liar? Because I want them to read it out and be honest. Am I going to make them a liar? Or is this going to be something that is truthful? Did I steward my relationships well? Did I steward my body well? Did I steward my spirit well? How did I steward these things? And it's really difficult to not take action or to fall into complacency when you have this right in front of you the whole time. And a lot of people will hesitate to do this because they don't like the idea of having an ideal in front of them. And the reason they don't like having an ideal in front of them is that when they fall short, they feel like they've failed. But here's the good news. Think about the identity part. You don't have to prove anything. This just gives you something to pursue, the mountain. And that's why my logo is a compass with a mountain. This is what you're pursuing. You're pursuing this and moving into this every single day. Next, you can see on the screen there. Now it's time for your goals. 10, 5, and 1 year out. What are you pursuing and the measurables around this? What are the goals you want to achieve physically. Maybe it's to run multiple marathons. I'm not a runner, so if you're doing that, kudos to you. I'm not going to join you. For me, it's, hey, be able to do 18 strict pull-ups by the time I'm 46. So you can reverse engineer how old I am. 46. I'm not 26. Some of you are probably thinking, man, Matt's looking a little rough for 26 years old. No, in 10 years, I'll be 46. And to be able to do 18 strict pull-ups. Then I also want my black belt. Spiritually, I want to have memorized Proverbs and Ecclesiastes by that point. Relationally, to go on adventures with my family. Every single year, multiple adventures. So revisiting this, like I said prior, this ideal, it's not that you have to achieve these exactly. I don't know what's going to happen. I could have a really bad injury and not be able to do pull-ups ever again. Hopefully not, but that could happen. The idea is not that I have to achieve that one thing in order to be a success. The idea is that it's going to help move me in a direction I should be going. If I have a goal of 18 strict pull-ups, I need to consistently go to the gym to work out. That destination helps you initiate the action that leads to the destination. You already have that identity piece. Now you have the purpose piece. Now this is where you start to tie it in. How do we make this a measurable thing and move in that direction? So you do the same thing for your faith, for your spiritual life, for your relationships, for your professional life, and for your fitness, 10 years out, 5 years out, 1 year out. And the closer you get to the today, the more measurable it's going to be. So 1 year projects, meaning that, hey, I'm going to do my very best to achieve this. And if I achieve this 1 year project, it aligns with the 5 year and the 10 year. Next is routines. And here I want you to think about this. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. This is where you start to create systems around your goals, right? We've gone from very cerebral, like this identity piece, which can be very confusing, to purpose, which feels a little bit more understandable, now to then goals, and then now to routines. So this is where you zone off times on your calendar to prioritize each important area of life. I believe people are fragmented and dealing with urgent things because they fail to prioritize the important prior. What is urgent in the today was once important. What is important today will be urgent if not prioritized today. So what does that mean? Mental, physical, spiritual, relational, professional. You can say with your mouth, hey, my family is important, time with God is important, exercise is important. But if your calendar doesn't show it, it's a lie, right? I'm sorry if that sounds a little bit judgmental, maybe not judgmental, but sounds a little bit something. But that's the truth. If it's not on your calendar, you're not actually investing in it. So when I say words to my wife or my daughter or my son, I love you, that is meaningful, that's important. But if I don't have actions, if I don't have time allotted to that, then it's not true. And that sounds harsh, but it's true. It's easy. Words are cheap, as that saying goes. The action is actually what shows. And I saw a video a little while ago that talked about how do you spell love? T-I-M-E, time. That's how you showcase your love for people. And you take care of your body, not so that you can be boastful and prideful in how it looks. It's not wrong to be in good shape, but you do it so you can be more present with your family. And so what you're going to do is you're going to put on your calendar spiritual zone, physical zone, your workout, date night, church for your spiritual zone, time with kids. It doesn't really matter what it is. You're going to put it in terms of the activity. And people kind of get confused with this because they say, well, this could be a family thing or this could be a physical thing. I want you to think about like this. I mentioned earlier that I have been a nutrition coach and a fitness coach for the majority of my life. And most foods have all three macronutrients in them: carbs, proteins, and fats. But when you think of a steak, you're thinking of that food as a predominantly protein-dense meal or food group. When you think of pasta, predominantly carbs, as an example. So then the activities, what is the predominant zone? Mental, physical, spiritual, relational, professional. Exercise, predominantly, I would say that's physical. There can be a relational aspect if you're working out with people. There can be a spiritual aspect. There can be a professional aspect if you're working out with your team, doing some team building. So I want you now slot all these areas on your calendar. And now also think, so relationally, an example could be meal with my family. It could be date night with my spouse. It could be date time with my kids. You're thinking of zones. You're putting that on your calendar. You're committing to it. Now, this is where you'll see me if you follow me on social media. Dad hours comes into play. I post dad hours, and I'm in the season of life now where I need to get up early. And the reason I get up early is because I have a routine in my morning that no one else is up, and I can get the most important things done in the day. Because here's the thing. If you fail to prioritize what needs to get done in your business or physically early on in the day, you're going to have to borrow from somewhere else. You're borrowing time. You can't be multiple places at once. We know that. We don't often act like that. Think about this. If I set my alarm to work out at 4:30 a.m. and I don't do that, well, now if I want to work out later, that's going to have to come at the sacrifice of my family, of something in my business. This is why zones are so important. And these things compound. It's not a big deal if I miss a workout a couple of days. But what if you start missing it for months, years? That's when the problem arises. What if you don't go on date nights consistently because you just write it off? It's not important because there's no instant feedback from that. If I miss call with a client, they're paying me. So there's going to be an instant feedback for that. That's not good. However, we don't treat our relationships the same way, because if I miss a date night with my wife, nothing's going to blow up. But what does that look like over time? If I draw that out, that compounds, eventually we're going to feel like roommates, and we're going to wonder how we got there. And it happens slowly. And that's why I think the most dangerous thing is this complacency, the slow sinking into comfort, because in the moment it doesn't look dangerous, but I think of it like a slow poison. It's poisoning you. And then by the time you start to notice these problems start to manifest from the root cause of you not investing time and having structure around investing time in these important areas of life, by the time you get there, it takes a lot more work than just investing a couple hours a week or whatever it might be in your fitness or whatever else it is. So do the small things, zone your calendar for these things. You want it to become automatic. Over time, they'll become automatic. You'll grow to really enjoy your routines. I don't love getting in the ice tub, but I love the routine around my coffee, sharing my thoughts. And this is all part of the process. Next is habits, or what I call deposits. So I use something called the Build 49 tracker to track your daily deposits. Faith, family, fitness, focus, freedom. There's different words in there. I mean, mental, physical, spiritual, relational, professional. That's usually what I think about. So now we have these zones on the calendar. So let's say I have the workout zone on my calendar. That's great. I've committed to that being a focus time. But then let's say I go to the gym for a workout and I don't have anything planned for that session. Nothing's going to happen, right? I had the best intention, but I actually need to do the work. You need to make the investment. And that's why I call it deposits, more commonly known as habits. But the reason I call it a deposit is because with your time, money, and energy, you're making investments mentally, physically, spiritually, relationally, professionally. The negative effect of not investing, I just mentioned, in your marriage is to feel like roommates. The negative effect of not investing in your body over time is to chronic disease to develop. It's not good. So this is where you have to think, okay, what does this look like compounding over time? And that's why it's a deposit. If you were to invest money without you thinking about it into an investing account that's gaining interest over time, you're going to have a payout. You're going to have a profit in the future. But if you're accumulating debt and you're constantly taking withdrawals from all these areas, because inaction is still an action, and inaction is a withdrawal from these accounts. So if I don't go work out, it's a withdrawal from my physical account, and I'm going into debt. And this also compounds over time, and someone has to pay that bill. So you need to set up habits around these areas of life, these deposits, going to the gym, date night, kind words, actions, building up your team. Like there's many different options. And by the time I release this video, I probably haven't released it yet, but keep an eye on my social media feed and keep an eye on my videos. I built an app for this, that anyone in the Man on the Mission program gets access to this, but I'm going to release it to the public eventually as well. So you can start building these deposits. And the reason it's called the Build 49 tracker is this, is that it takes on average, I think 7 to 8, maybe 9 weeks to build a habit for it to become automatic, right? So thinking of these things as deposits, there's automatic withdrawals from your bank account that go into investing account. You want to create good habits so they're automatic in your life. And the more good habits you create in your life, it's a lot more difficult to prioritize bad habits. I think of it like expanding. You just grow. Or here's a good example. When you eat a nutrient-dense meal, there's nutrients in it, you feel full, you feel satiated, you feel satisfied. You don't have a lot of room to snack on junk food. So if you have your calendar built in a way where you're investing in all these nutrient-dense activities, reading the word, good conversation with those you love, working out, working on your projects and your business. Because again, I at the start of this, I was talking about business success. It's not bad. It's that it can't come with a sacrifice. But if you're pursuing something that you're excited about in business, that's satiating. You're going to be full from that. How much more difficult is it to do anything like have these poor habits when you're already full? Think about David and Bathsheba. I've used this example before. He should have been at war with his people, but he fell into comfort and complacency, and that's when he fell into sin. So here's how it all comes together. You start with identity. You ground yourself in Christ. You find your security in him. That's your foundation. From there, you get clarity on your purpose. You know what you're building towards. You know what matters. You know what you want to be remembered for. From there, you set goals. You create a concrete roadmap, 10 years, 5 years, and 1 year out, across all these important areas of life. From there, you build routines. You structure your time, money, and energy around what matters. You make discipline automatic. And finally, you build habits. You make deposits. You track your progress. You solidify your new identity. And the result? You're no longer fragmented. You're integrated. You're no longer reacting. You're leading. You're no longer successful on paper and empty inside. You're successful and have significance because you're rooted in who you are and whose you are. You're a hero at work and a hero at home. That's what this Mission 5 framework does. That's the transformation this system creates. Now, if this resonates with you, if you're successful in business and struggling in your personal life, if you're tired of being fragmented, if you want to become a hero at work and at home, if you want to build unbreakable discipline across all these important areas of life, there's a program I run, as I mentioned earlier on in this video, called the Man on the Mission program. It's a 9-week intensive program designed to help you as a Christian entrepreneurial man implement this framework step by step. Right now, there are over 1,800 people on the notification list, and over 330 people have applied. So spots are limited and they sell out fast whenever I open the doors. So if this is something you want to explore, there's a link in the show notes, as I mentioned prior. And if you're serious about this, because you do have to do the work, but if you are tired of sinking into comfort, of feeling emotionally unstable to those that shouldn't get the repercussions of your stress, repercussions of you not taking care of the important things, if you want to become consistent and unbreakable in your disciplines, become resilient in your mindset, and I invite you to apply. I welcome in a handful of people at a time. There's a long notification list, applications over 330, and I open the doors periodically. So make sure you get on the list so you get the email when they open, so that you can build unbreakable discipline, so that you can be a hero at home, get in great physical shape, or strengthen your marriage and grow your business while gaining back time. I invite you to apply. If you found this beneficial and you think someone could benefit from it, I invite you to share any of your big takeaways. Please leave comments. I don't reply to all of them, but I do try to read all of them. And subscribe, like, if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. I want to continue making more and more of these videos. I'm really enjoying it, enjoying connecting with all of you. And if you found this beneficial, share with a friend. Until next time, earn your dopamine.